So today we're going to talk about some updates in the David case. I just put out a video a few days ago talking about the situation and everything that's went on regarding this dude David, who is the TikTok singer artist guy who is also dating a freaking child. He's a Houston-born singer who pled not guilty to the murder of a 14-year-old named Celeste Rivas Hernandez. David is 21 years old. His legal name is David Anthony Burke, and he was charged with first-degree murder as well as committing sexual acts with a person that is under 14 and mutilating a body. If you guys haven't watched my other video on this, you definitely should go back and check it out. But if you haven't, I will also catch you guys up to speed a little bit. On Monday, David pleaded not guilty to the murder charge of a 14-year-old girl that was last known to be alive over a year ago. On Monday, David pleaded not guilty to the murder charge and claimed that he was not associated with the death of the 14-year-old girl who was last known to be alive a year ago, and also the girl whose dismembered and decomposing body was found in a Tesla that was in his name. David and his defense lawyer entered not guilty pleas to all accounts on behalf of Burke, who actually showed up in court for the first time on Monday. He appeared behind glass in a custody area, dressed in all black, and he was basically told that he would continue to be held without bail. Not only that, but the girl in question's parents actually attended the hearing as well, but they didn't say anything to any of the reporters, so we haven't really got any statements from them. There's some new information that's come out about everything going on, some new speculations, and some new key evidence. It seems like he was trying to build his career, and she may have been threatening to report their sexual relationship. It even seems like the debut album that started his career was actually released 2 days after the authorities said that she was last known to be alive. She was reported missing by her family in 2024 when she was just 13 years old, and according to the allegations, David continuously sexually abused her for over a year, and according to these allegations, David continued to sexually abuse this girl for pretty much a whole year, from September 2023 to September 2024. And it says here in the article that California penalizes the abuse of children, especially when it's harsh abuse under the age of 14. And they said that Celeste was about 14 years old when she was killed with a sharp object on or around April 23rd, 2025. And apparently that day she had been hanging out with David at his house in Hollywood Hills, probably the one that he was renting out from that other guy. And apparently there's some like special intricacies that they're throwing in with some of these charges. So there's specific terms that they're applying to these things, saying that David was lying in wait, committing a crime for financial gain, and murdering the witness to an investigation. All of these things could actually end up carrying the death penalty for David. Prosecutors have not announced whether they will seek it or not, though. The reason that they're saying this too is because David went and killed Celeste, who could have given a testimony about the sex crimes that were taking place. And that also could be the whole reason that he did it in the first place, because he didn't want that stuff coming out. Still, with all of that being said, people are somehow finding a way to defend this scumbag online, and his defense attorney literally said in court that they believe the evidence will show that David did not actually commit the murder of Celeste, and even stated in court that they would like to see the evidence come into the light of day. As we covered in the last video as well, David's family didn't want to touch this shit with a 10-foot pole. It seems like his brother, his mom, and his dad actually decided to waive their right to come and show up in court and testify on the behalf of their son. As even without evidence, obviously, they're probably not stupid. They probably understand that whenever a body is found inside in a cadaver bag, covered in bugs, decomposing, and being dismembered inside of a car that belonged to their son, it seems like there's nothing else that could have really happened but the obvious. And that actually leads us to all the things that they come out with yesterday on April 24th, stating that his phone actually had a significant amount of child pornography in it, which honestly does not surprise me in the least bit, seeing as everything else that we've been talking about with this guy. During his court appearance on Thursday, LA County prosecutors said that they recovered more than 40 terabytes of digital evidence, including a significant amount of CP in their case against the singer David, who was charged with murder. It says here in the article that the proceeding was initially scheduled as a preliminary hearing to determine if there was enough evidence for David, whose real name is Anthony David Burke. They also basically stated in the article that the proceeding was initially scheduled as a preliminary hearing to determine if there was enough evidence to go against David or to have him stand trial. Both sides discussed the next step for the case, and they basically decided to have another hearing on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday actually, April 29th. The preliminary hearing is tentatively scheduled for May 1st as well, so we have both of those coming up. On Thursday, 1 year after Celeste was believed to be killed, coincidentally enough, on Thursday, 1 year to the day after Celeste was alleged to have been killed, the Deputy District Court Attorney, Beth Silverman, told the LA County Superior Court judge that David's phone had a significant amount of child porn on it. They also stated that all of the images they were discussing had been uncovered during a series of search warrants, but they didn't elaborate on the content of the images, and they didn't say whether or not it was actually Celeste or not confirmed. But it seems like they know enough to know that it is CP, and they really wouldn't be publicly saying that if it wasn't, so I think that that's pretty confirmed. Silverman also said that it was a voluminous amount of data, which is an interesting way to put that, but I get what she means. They established 40 terabytes of data acquired from Burke's iPhone and his iCloud account. The defense attorneys for David also asked prosecutors to provide as much basic discovery as possible during the proceeding. The defense attorneys for David also asked the prosecutors to provide as much basic information about the evidence as possible during the proceedings. CBS News is now awaiting a response from David's legal team, and now it seems like everybody's just waiting on his legal team to come up with another comment or some kind of statement regarding all of these allegations as well. And now it seems like everybody is just waiting on David's defense attorneys to come out with some kind of statement or a response to the evidence and the allegations that have been put out. And it seems like at this point, everybody is just waiting for David's defense attorneys to come up with some kind of statement against these allegations and the evidence that has been brought up by the prosecutor. It also seems that the attorneys on Celeste's side and who are also representing her family declined to make any kind of statement about the prosecution. And it seems like the attorneys on Celeste's side and on the side of her family have basically declined to comment on anything that was come up on Thursday. And it seems like the attorneys that were representing Celeste and her family on their side have actually declined to make any kind of statement about the Thursday proceedings. And it seems like the defense attorneys that are on the side and it seems like the defense attorneys that are on the side of Celeste and her family, and it seems like the defense attorneys that are on the side of Celeste and her family, and it seems like the defense attorneys that are on the side of Celeste and her family have declined to comment on Thursday's proceedings at all. David appeared in court just yesterday wearing an orange inmate jumpsuit and shackles. He didn't speak aside from saying, "Yes, Your Honor," and then when he asked if he understood the meanings of the proceedings, he also responded to that. And it seems like with all of these things coming out, especially what I'm about to tell you guys, a lot of people have been digging into his music and his videos and have been coming up with some pretty strange correlations to everything going on, which honestly, now looking at everything, it all kind of makes sense and comes together. Thursday's court appearance comes just a day after the LA County Medical Examiner released their information about Celeste's autopsy, revealing that she died from multiple stab wounds entering her torso. The autopsy was performed in September 2025, days after the body was found, decomposing in the Tesla trunk at Hollywood Hills. They also go on to say here that the autopsy was actually performed in September 2025, just a few days after her remains were found inside of the Tesla in the trunk of the Hollywood tow yard. And they also go on to say here that the autopsy was performed in September, just a few days after the body was found decomposing in the Tesla in the trunk. They also go on to say here that the autopsy was performed in September 2025, just days after the body was found decomposing in the Tesla's trunk in the Hollywood tow yard. But it seems like there was a judge who ordered to have these things concealed while the police department and the county's district attorney office built their case against David. There was also a statement from the chief medical examiner stating that the cause and the manner of death were determined sometime in December after they found her body, so it took them a few months to determine everything, but they did establish that information in December. And it seems like after they arrested Burke and were able to charge him with first-degree murder and everything else that he had done to Celeste, they actually decided to lift that order and allow for the information to come out. It seems like attorneys on David's side also pleaded not guilty on his behalf during the initial appearance on Monday in court. They also requested to have an expedited preliminary hearing during which judges will determine if there is even enough evidence to move forward with the murder trial. They also continued to state, "Let us be clear, the actual evidence in this case will show that David Burke did not commit the murder of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, and he was not the cause of her death." David's attorney stated in a statement on Monday that there has been no indictment returned by any grand jury in this case, and no criminal complaint found. They also went and reiterated that David had only been detained under suspicion, and they said that they were going to vigorously defend David's innocence. But on the back end, LA County District Court Attorney Nathan Hochman decided on Monday that he was going to say in court But on the back end of that, LA County District Attorney Nathan Hochman on Monday alleged that Burke, who was 21 at the time, but on the flip side of that, LA County District Attorney Nathan Hochman on Monday actually came out with a statement stating that David, who is 21 years old, killed Celeste in April 2025, months before her body was actually found, after she threatened to expose his criminal conduct, including repetitive lewd and lascivious sexual relations he was having having with her. The medical examiner also stated in a report that Celeste's body had been found dismembered. Her head and her torso were found in cadaver bags that were inside the Tesla, and her other body parts were found in a second bag. She was reported missing from Lake Elsinore on April 2024, which is a whole year before she was last seen in Burke's Hollywood home. And apparently in this statement as well, they're saying that Celeste was reported missing in April 2024, which is a whole year before she was last seen at Burke's home in the Hollywood Hills on April 3rd. They also state here in the article that Celeste was reported missing from Lake Elsinore in April 2024, but that was a whole year before she was last seen at Burke's Hollywood home on April 3rd, 2025. And it looks like if David is sentenced, he could potentially face the max amount of. And it looks like if David is at. And it looks like if at the end of all of this, if David is convicted with the crimes that he has been charged with, that he could likely face the maximum sentence of life without the possibility of parole. And that looks like about it, guys. Honestly, a whole lot of horrifying, terrible things coming out in this story. And all I want is for there to be justice for this little girl and her fucking family that had to go through all these terrible things. And I want this guy to get in trouble, honestly. Like, I think this is the most nasty and torturous, terrible shit that could possibly happen to. I honestly think that this is some of the most horrifying things that could possibly happen to someone. And I can't imagine how, as the parents of this girl and the family of this girl, like how they must feel. And truthfully, I can't even imagine how Celeste's family probably feels during all of this, but I'm sure it's awful. And I really just want them to have justice, like I said. So let me know what you guys think about everything regarding this case. Let me know what you guys think this guy should get hit with. And I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good day, everybody.